But let's start at the very top with the breaking news that's just coming in. The centre has moved the Supreme Court now against the release of Rajiv Gandhi's convicts. The centre has sought a review of the order that granted remission to the 6 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. The centre says the Supreme Court order in the case is legally flawed. The centre is now seeking permission from the court to argue against the release of the convicts. So, another twist, the centre, which stayed silent so far, even as the Supreme Court had granted remission in sentence to Rajiv Gandhi's killers, has now said they will challenge the order. What explains the sudden decision of the centre after their silence? Remember, the matter was also before the Tamil Nadu governor, and he too had chosen not to act on it. Then the Supreme Court moved in and granted remission, which was celebrated in Tamil Nadu by the ruling DMK. Officially, the Congress had opposed it. The BJP, as I said, or the government at least, had stayed silent on the issue until now. So, our legal head, Nalini Sharma, joins us with the very latest. Nalini, what exactly is the centre planning to do, and will it come as early as tomorrow that they will challenge this order now?
Well, Rajdeep, there's a review petition that has now been filed by the centre before the Supreme Court, and there are 2 main grounds on the basis of which they are asking for this order to be reviewed. One, they say that throughout this entire process where the decision for remission of these 6 convicts was taken, the centre wasn't asked even once about what their stand on this entire issue is. In fact, none of the convicts who had actually moved Supreme Court had even made centre a party to these proceedings. So what the central government is saying is that it's a necessary party, and that there's been a miscarriage of justice because of these procedural lapses, because centre was not asked for their opinion. The second and the more important thing that they're saying is that out of these 6 convicts who've been granted remission, 4 are actually Sri Lankan nationals. So for the Supreme Court to grant remission to a foreign terrorist who had come on Indian soil and committed a crime no less than assassinating the Prime Minister of the country, what kind of a message does this send out internationally? So what they're saying is that this is a decision that can be taken only by the Union of India, and if the Union of India is given a chance to put forth its arguments before the Supreme Court, they'll show the Supreme Court how this is not similar to the earlier judgment of the Supreme Court, the A.G. Paradivalan judgment, on the basis of which the remission was granted to these 6 convicts. So it's a review petition that's now been filed. It will first come up in the chambers where the Supreme Court will decide whether or not to even take it up for open hearing. So maybe not tomorrow, but maybe in the course of the next week, coming week, we can expect for the Supreme Court to at least take it up in its chambers and decide whether or not there will be an open court hearing where the centre will be allowed to place its arguments against the release of these 6 convicts.
What I just want to know though, Nalini, until now the centre was unusually silent on the case. The Congress officially had opposed the release, even though the Gandhi family themselves had said they were ready to grant a pardon, or so they claimed at least, and the DMK government in Tamil Nadu had welcomed this. So I just want to understand, the Tamil Nadu government had sat on this, governor had sat on this issue, and the centre also in the Supreme Court, I don't think made any intervention, neither the Solicitor or Attorney General. So what has suddenly changed?
Well, that is precisely their point, Rajdeep, the fact that they were not party to these proceedings in the Supreme Court. So their defense to it is that they were not made party to these proceedings either by the Supreme Court bench that was hearing the case or by the convicts who had initially approached the Supreme Court. The fact that they could have approached the Supreme Court on their own saying that they should be impleaded is set aside right now, because they've now defended that in the form of this review petition that has now been filed in the Supreme Court. But what they are saying is that if they had been made party to the proceedings, then they would have put forth arguments showing how the case of these 6 convicts is not similar to the A.G. Paradivalan case, and how they should not be granted remission on the grounds that he was granted remission on. What they're also saying is that because of the fact that 4 of these convicts are foreign nationals, or Sri Lankan nationals, this case cannot be judged on the same parameters as the earlier case was done, and now they're seeking permission to put forth these arguments before the Supreme Court after the decision has already come in. So their ground for challenging this is that there is an error apparent on the face of record, because of which this judgment is legally flawed and it seeks to be reviewed. But as to whether or not that will be granted by the Supreme Court is something that we have to wait and watch out for.
Okay, Nalini Sharma, with lots of details there, interesting twist there in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case.